Hello everyone, it's Kari from sunshineonmypocket.com and I'm here with my very last cards to share in my Halloween card series this year. This time I'm using some large sentiment stamps for this technique, and it's a real fun stamp set that I'm using from the Ton. It's got some smaller images here too, like bats, a haunted house, some spider webs, and I'm going to choose one of the sentiments. I love the design of these, and I'm also choosing one of the spider webs. Now this technique is really great if you need some last minute Halloween cards, because I'm going to show you how to make some easy cards 3 at a time, and it's super simple. Now I don't know why you would need some last minute Halloween cards, but maybe you do. But this technique will also work with any holiday, any cards you need to make, and it's really kind of fun. But I love it for this candy corn look. I've chosen some candy corn colored cardstock, an orange, a yellow, and a white, and I'm using my anti-static powder tool here on each of these cardstocks. Now I'm going to stamp that out, but I realized this is my first time using this stamp, and so it wasn't really conditioned, and so it didn't stamp very well the first time. So I used my microfiber cloth and just wiped that down and prepared it a little bit more to stamp, and then it stamped a little bit better. You can use any kind of preparation you like for these larger sentiment stamps. It really does help to use some kind of preparation. I have a spray that I like to use sometimes. I use my microfiber cloth sometimes. There are erasers you can use to prep your stamps. And another way is to use some Versamark ink on your stamps first. Wipe that off, and then they're seasoned and ready to use as well. So I like all of those methods. Today I just use my microfiber cloth. Then I use some clear heat embossing powder, and I'm going to heat set that with my heat tool. Now something very scary happened during the making of these cards, and I'm going to share that with you real soon. I guess it's appropriate because it is a Halloween card. But I didn't love it, so I will share that with you. Stay tuned. But I'm going to quickly stamp the rest of these cardstocks that I have prepared. The size of these are A2, so they're 4 1/4 by 5.5 inches. They're all exactly the same. And then I'll stamp them the same and clear heat emboss them all the same. And that's what's going to make this technique super simple. You want all your panels to be as close to the same size, as close to the same stamping as you can get. That's why the MISTI really helps with this as well, for positioning that stamp in the exact same spot on each of the panels. So here's the last one. I'm going to stamp that down and pour on the clear embossing powder, and this is where it starts getting spooky. I mean scary. It really did freak me out. Oh no, here's where it happened. There's a magnet stuck to the bottom of my heat tool, and it burnt that motor out. I've had this heat tool for probably 15 years plus, and it has served me so well, but it died. And I really don't know how that MISTI magnet got stuck there. It really was stuck. So I had to run to my closest Hobby Lobby and buy an embossing tool so that I could finish this video and finish this panel. It already had the embossing powder on it. So I took a short break, unplugged that first one, and went and got me this new one. Now I do like the color of it. That's my favorite color. So hopefully this works really well and serves me well. I thought that my next embossing tool would be a more expensive one. This one was only 15 bucks. But so far it's working fine. So now I'm going to take Distress Oxides in similar colors of the cardstock, and I'm going to ink around the edges of each of these panels. That's going to give it a little more spooky feeling. So this one is the Fossilized Amber, but I found that this wasn't quite dark enough. So after I started inking that on, I brought in some orange Ripe Persimmon. And this gave it a little more color to the edges, a little more of the spookiness that I was looking for. I end up darkening it up a little bit later on as well. For the orange panel, I'm using Crackling Campfire to go around the edges. That is looking really good right there. I also brought in some Rusty Hinge. That really does help darken up some oranges and reds, so it's really kind of a cool look. So I inked that all around the edges as well, and then I went back over it with the Crackling Campfire to blend that out. So this right here is back to the Crackling Campfire. So there we go, there's 2 of them done, and I ended up bringing some of that Crackling Campfire onto the yellow one too. I like a darker look, I guess, on that. For the white one, I've got Pumice Stone, and that looks really good on the white. It brings that gray in, looks a little smoky and spooky. So that's that one, and there we go, there's the look. Now here's where the technique comes in. I first will make sure there's no extra ink on that embossing powder on the sentiment, but now we're going to cut these into 3 sections. And what I tried to do was make them equal on each cut. So I tried to divide this into 3 equal pieces. Now it doesn't always work out equal because 5.5 divided by 3 is a weird number. So I just eyeballed it on the second cut and tried to cut them exactly the same. Now I'm going to show you another method for doing this, which is foolproof, because this sometimes you get a little bit off in the cutting, and I'll show you that. But you want them to all line back up by using one of every color. And there you have your candy corn look. So look, I'm going to put all of these together, and then I'm going to glue them onto a panel. But you can tell they're not exactly perfect. They still look really cool though. They're not exactly perfect. So I'm just going to glue them down to the panel, and I'll end up having to cut these panels just a little bit because some of the cuts were not perfect. But you know, it's going to be perfect enough, and in the end you won't be able to tell because I will cut them all down. So I'm just using liquid adhesive to add all of these to my panel, and I'll show you. You can see on the right hand side that there's a little extra white, and so that's why I'm cutting these panels down. And also on the bottom there, I had to move it over a little to the left on this cut just to get the sentiment straightened up and that spider web straightened up, but it's okay because we have trimmers. Once I've trimmed this first one up, I'll go ahead and add all the panels to the card bases for all of them. So this is going to make 3 cards at once, and it's really fun and simple. No coloring involved, just a little trimming, a little bit of cutting. So easy. To finish these cards off, I'm going to use the die for the bats. Now it's for the stamp to cut the stamps of the bats out, but I just decided to cut out black cardstock and add the bats that way. Super simple. And I think it really is dramatic on these cards. I'm going to just add those using my gem picker and some liquid adhesive. And then once that's done, I'm going to add a little bit of sparkle. Of course, I can't stop with the sparkle. So some orange gems right here that I had in my stash and I've had for a really long time. They were perfect for Halloween cards. I love these orange gems on these candy corn inspired cards. So there we go, just a few just like that. That's looking pretty good right there. And that's all there is to it. A beautiful sentiment, beautiful embossing, multicolored paper, and a few embellishments. And that's all it takes to make some quick Halloween cards to finish off your stash. Now, if you want a simpler suggestion than cutting it yourself, you can use a die cut like this one that will cut the stripes for you, or sentiment strips if you have those, and you'll have some smaller strips, but you'll still get the same candy corn effect. So that's another idea, and that works out perfect every time because it cuts the same spots every time. I hope you enjoyed this card series. My whole Halloween series is now over for the year, but I'll be back with more cards to share with some other holidays that are coming up real soon. Thanks for stopping by. Give me a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you real soon. Bye-bye.